Hi, I'm Brian Cassidy, author of the book Cycles. In this short video, I'd like to explain how to get started with the build canvases. You can download these canvases at this link, www.tiny.cc/cyclesbuild. The objective of the build canvas is to guide you through the best practices of idea building, to make the process simple and easy. The goal at the end of this process is 20, maybe 25 ideas that you can build on and test. The best practice of idea building is divided into 3 phases. In phase number 1, you dig into the problem, you understand the challenge, and you collect stimulus to spark ideas. This is the fuel that makes new ideas. Then, in phase number 2, you build and rebuild ideas individually. It's important that you do this individually before you work in a group. And then, when everyone is ready, you work in groups. We split these 3 stages into 8 steps, each with its own easy-to-use canvas. It's important to realize we often think of idea building as one and the same as brainstorming. Brainstorming is not the only way to build ideas. In fact, brainstorming is probably not the best way to build ideas, and it is certainly not the thing you should do first. If you're going to do it, brainstorming in groups is what should come last. The reason is simple. People brainstorm better when they've worked first. When this work has not been done first, you'll be working with little brains in your brainstorming, and little brains build little ideas. The better way to do things is to go through a step-by-step process, familiarizing yourself with the problems and challenges, challenging the problems, figuring out what you can do with what you have, mining for stimulus, doing work individually, and then and only then working in groups. When you work this way, you'll have big brains working together. And big brains make big ideas. Step number 1 is getting started. To start effectively, you need to understand what is the problem and what has succeeded in the past. How have others solved similar problems? Equally important, you need to make sure you really have a problem to solve. A problem is something you can do something about. It might seem obvious what your problem is, but you'd be surprised how often people work on solving the wrong problems. If you don't really know what your problem is, the odds of finding a solution are very, very low. Before moving forward, I'd like you to really think about that. If you don't know what your problem is, the whole process is going to be a lot harder. Identify what you want to work on first. Second, you're going to look into that problem definition and try to reformulate and write it different ways. Often the actual solution to a problem is sort of written into how you define the problem. Look for at least 3 different ways to formulate it. You choose one and move forward. The goal here is to make your problem statement of something that sparks and stimulates ideas. Once you've got your problem, you go into the stage of effectuation. Effectuation is often the trait that separates a great innovator from an average innovator. Great innovators have a bias for action, and a bias for action starts by taking action now. You can take action now if you use the resources you have at hand. The way to do this is start by listing your barriers and challenges, then do an assessment of what you have. Who do you know, and what can you afford to lose? Once you've done this inventory, you need to think about the actions you can take with the means that you have at hand. What can you do now with what you have to move forward the idea building process? The 5th step is about stimulus mining. Stimulus mining is the process of going out and collecting ideas that will spark new and interesting ideas. If you've gone through the steps of identifying who you know, you already have a place to look for stimulus. Talk to these people, get their thoughts, get their ideas. I'm sure you'll also go to the internet and you'll write down different things. Now, the challenge you have is if you're working in a group is how do you share those ideas with one another? The best way we've seen to do this is to make a spark pack. A spark pack is designed to spark new ideas. A format we like is a picture, a quote, an image on the left-hand side of the slide, then thoughts and ideas on the right-hand side. This concept, this way of presenting ideas is inspired by innovation engineering. I encourage you to look at the work that they're doing. What they suggest and what we suggest is that each person in your team tries to generate 4 to 5 different sparks. Now, what you need to do is you need to find a way to share them with your team. What we'd suggest is you go through them one by one. And as you go through them one by one, have people write down new ideas that come out of the process. Steps 6 and 7 are about using the spark shared by you and your colleagues, your initial ideas, and trying to write them down. You first write your ideas, and then you share your ideas to get feedback. Usually this process works best when everyone uses a similar format to talk about their ideas. The best format we've seen is the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are essentially P number 1, what is the problem you're solving? P number 2 is what is the promise being made? P number 3 is what is the proof you can do it? And P number 4 is what is the payoff for your buyer? This might sound like a very structured way to talk about ideas, but I can assure you that structure is a big upside. When you structure your ideas, you have the advantage of having clear ideas, and when you structure ideas, it's easier for people to give feedback and advice to improve the ideas. A good target for you at this point in time would be 4 to 5 ideas in a 4P format from each member in your group. The last stage of the idea building process is often times where we think of starting. This is the brainstorming stage. This stage is about bringing people together. It might involve post-its, it might not involve post-its. What's most important is the mix and match of ideas. Each of you have ideas, and you need to bring them together and create new and bigger ideas. In step 8, we've put one simple mix and match technique. The process is basically a 3-step process. In step 1, you fill in each box in the stimulus guide with the best ideas and best sparks in the respective columns. In step number 2, you choose an unrelated stimulus. In step number 3, you combine the unrelated stimulus, the idea, and the spark. The idea here is to do a forced association. You combine one idea, one spark, unrelated stimulus to come up with a new idea. How does forced association work? Imagine we're looking for ideas for a new type of drink. You take a few prompts and they combine these into new ideas. For a second, imagine 5 drinks based on a theme of voyage and return, a shark bar, and frozen lemonade. I'm sure you can come up with 5. Note, in this process, it's the unrelated stimulus that really fuels new ideas. The unrelated stimulus takes you away from the point of being comfortable to a new area and a new place with thoughts and ideas. What you need to do is do this once and then do it again. Your second round might have an unrelated stimulus, which is classic cars, an elephant, ice cubes, a spark, and a like a mojito. Come up with 5 more types of drinks, and then 5 more, and then 5 more. At this point in time, the target is to have 20 ideas. And when you have these ideas, it's time to talk to people. You get feedback and keep on working to improve it. For those of you who tend to do your idea building sessions in one day, it's important to realize that companies that do 2-day brainstormings usually generate 3 to 4 times more meaningfully unique ideas than companies that do a single-day brainstorming. The reason is, when you do it over 2 days, you get time for feedback, and feedback and rework makes ideas bigger and bigger. I'd like to close by saying there is no magic formula to building ideas. It's about building insights and then working together as a group, and then rework and rework until you get bigger and better ideas. Note, if you don't like the last exercise, there's lots of exercise to help you work together as a group. You can do a search for brainstorming methods. You'll find hundreds of tools and techniques on the internet. For me, the master is Arthur Van Gundy. He's written 2 books, 101 Activities for Teaching Creativity and Problem Solving, and Techniques of Structured Problem Solving. For me, these are the Bibles of brainstorming sessions. I have some final advice for you. Building ideas might look hard, but it is really the easiest part of the innovation process. You need to sit back, relax, let the ideas come to you. Don't sweat the process, but go step by step. Follow the 8 steps, and I guarantee you'll have some great ideas. Here's another link for the Build Canvas, www.tiny.cc/cyclesbuild. If you'd like to learn more about building ideas or the rest of the innovation process, buy our book. You can learn more on our site, www.thecyclesbook.com. Up on our site, you'll also find links to other canvases and sample chapters about lots of different parts of the innovation process. Good luck building your ideas. I wish you all the very best.